Hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 268 for September 25th, 2023. Today, we're going to be talking about Rumchata Pumpkin spices up Halloween season. I like big boats, and I cannot lie. Automated traffic jam, but bill blocked. Graphic Seuss novels. How are we purchasing 350,000 carpets a year? How about fairy circles from space? A Ponzi scheme, the podcast. Space fungi, not a fun guy. You wouldn't download a streaming service, would you? And Lego can't connect the pips. Next on ohmTown Daily. So, I don't know. Do you have anything interesting to share?
No, just some good articles ahead.
There's a lot of good articles, aren't there? Yeah. I can normally what I do is I refresh this page right before the show. I refreshed it earlier than normal, so I just refreshed it. This is the front page, and it's constantly being updated. Every time you come to the site, you should see something new. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag when Gatherer is processing a bunch of information, but the way that it works is you've got 6 main categories, 50 channels within it, and I use it every day to manage my information overload. And the AI, the sentient AI, my co-host, also parses it, and so do a bunch of other people, and I get emails from time to time and people telling me, hey, why don't you use this article? And we put it all together. We sift it. We distill it down into a fine bottled spirit of news and information. Something that when you quaff it, it changes your worldview. It is the epiphany of all that is wise. And we do it for you so that you don't have to sit there for hours and hours on end if you come and hang out in the show. Otherwise, you have to go to ohmTown and go through all of the news and all of these channels. And there's a whole bunch of news that's tailored to that particular channel. So maybe you'll find something that interests you. I can almost assure it. You know why? Because I'm Merwatt, that's ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that keeps tabs on me, tries to keep me out of trouble, but will probably not succeed ultimately. You want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Oh, that was that was way too brief. I was trying to turn on air conditioning. Okay, that's okay. Let's get into today's news. In the Order of the Grape, a channel that's actually about wine, but this is actually about 6 Rumchata pumpkin spice cocktails to celebrate the season. And I think pretty much every day lately, I have been soaking in a luxurious bath of Halloween season. Even though it's not Halloween season yet. Although, if you go to the stores...
pretty close.
Yeah, we're pretty darn close. And the weather is starting to turn. And there are people that are like buying and promoting and selling and talking about Halloween. And we're planning movies for a Halloween movie night. Yeah, there's a lot out there. So why don't we introduce you to Vine Pair? We'll just go over to the source real quick. Gabrielle Farms is the author. Sarah Pinsino, I think is how you pronounce her last name, is the author or is the illustrator. I don't know what all was done here, but Rumchata, by the way, is spectacular. I absolutely love Rumchata cream liqueur. This, though, is pumpkin spice because you basically have to have pumpkin spice when it's Halloween season. And there's a tree out there that I guess is pumpkin spice. It's not a natural flavor, right? Pumpkin spice. So are there pumpkins out there that are spicy?
No, I don't think so.
So this is a mashup of a bunch of stuff. Got it. Well, I love Rumchata in its original form. I'm going to go and get some pumpkin spice Rumchata and try it out myself. And the article is over at vinepair.com. I've already thrown it into the VOD, and it'll be in the show notes. And let's go down through this really quick because it's a pumpkin spice cappuccini.
This is a good article because it gets you in the mode of fall too, because it has activities to pair.
Pairs best with apple picking and scavenger hunts. They should have called that scavenger haunts.
Yes.
But dump. They give you instructions on how to do it. There might be a video here, but ohmTown is kind of air gapped from the rest of the world for many things. And so I don't get that particular information, but you might if you go to the site. So follow it through ohmTown. It'll lead you right to it. But it looks like it's vodka and pumpkin spice, Rumchata, and coffee liqueur, and an ounce of espresso. Wow. So an ounce of coffee liqueur and an ounce of espresso.
Well, the coffee liqueur is probably just flavored and not actually with caffeine in it.
You think they're okay? So they've distilled it out.
Maybe.
Right? So it has some of the flavor, but none of the caffeine. Got it. Maybe that's why they put an ounce of espresso in. I would probably handle 3 or 4, but that's okay. That's me. Garnish with a sprinkle of pumpkin pie spice and cinnamon. All right. You had me at pumpkin pie, but I love the idea of cappuccino martini. How about pumpkin spice frappe? Rumchata pumpkin spice, coffee liqueur, espresso, whole milk, real Madagascar vanilla infused syrup.
This is sounding pretty good.
Top with whipped cream. Yep. Pumpkin spice coffee. Are all of these coffee drinks? This is pairing everything with coffee. Yeah, pumpkin spice coffee. We don't really need to get into that because it's obviously pumpkin spice, Rumchata, and coffee. And then pie spice, which is Rumchata pumpkin spice and cinnamon whiskey. Wow. Oh, but don't do, what is the one that doesn't actually have any alcohol in it? Is that there's one that was found out to not have any alcohol in it. Hold on. It was a cinnamon, yeah, hold on a second. That dead air is really killing me. Fireball, right? Isn't that what I heard? That there is it Fireball? Yeah, Fireball cinnamon doesn't actually contain whiskey. Fireball cinnamon doesn't contain whiskey, and the alcohol content prompted a mislabeling lawsuit against Fireball's maker, Sazerac. Yeah, so if you're gonna do cinnamon whiskey, make sure that it's cinnamon whiskey and not Fireball. I guess that's what the news was all over this when it popped up. So I guess I'll have to look into it because now I'm questioning everything. Halloween makes me question everything. Okay, so then it better be pumpkin.
It better be pumpkin.
Oh, it better be pumpkin. I'm sorry, it better be pumpkin. Thanks for catching that. It better be pumpkin. Adding butterscotch to anything adds a next level touch of tasty flair, especially with butterscotch Sputterspotch?
Sputtercotch? Or sputterbotch?
Sputterbotch, that word. Butterscotch snot. Schnapps. I've been drinking all day. Anyway, yeah, it butter be pumpkin. Let's just move on to the ingredients. It's a Rumchata pumpkin spice and butterscotch schnapps, cheese, and Captain Pumpkin. Let's see. This says it pairs best with farmer's market lunch party and bake off. I don't know if it's the same kind of bake off we all call a bake off. Rumchata pumpkin spice and spiced rum. Well, nailed it. That's what I'll be doing. Although Rumchata already has rum in it, the Rumchata,
Maybe that's just amps it up or something.
it's going to kick it up a notch because it's spiced rum on top of the Rumchata, which it actually has a little bit of spice in it natively. Then they're adding pumpkin spice, which is piling spice on top of this thing. This thing is probably going to be a little over the top spicy, but I'm willing to give it the old Harvard try. I never went to Harvard. Anyway, there you go, folks. Let's charge into the haunted season with Rumchata pumpkin spice cream liqueur. So it could be as early as tomorrow's show. That's going to be much more entertaining. The next article is over in Hedge Ideas. Is this vessel the future of shipping? Shipping giant Maersk is banking on it. These things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Shipping giant Maersk unveiled the first green methanol powered vessel in the world. The container ship is the first step for the heavily polluting shipping industry. So this is apparently a greener ship. Sylvia.
Well, that's a good thing because that's certainly an industry that needs some work on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all taking place out in the ocean, so obviously it doesn't traverse the atmosphere and contaminate the oceans and the
Or,
air.
the whole ecosystem in the ocean or anything.
No, it's out in the ocean. Aren't you supposed to be able to dump everything, including radioactive water, out into the ocean, and it fixes it, right?
No.
Right. That's where you launder money too. You put it in the ocean and you stir it around and then you scoop it back out and it's clean. No? I must have
No.
my...
I don't know where you're getting your information from. Not from ohmTown, clearly.
Oh. I might be misinterpreting things that I read. So the article is over at CNBC and Silvio Amaro is the author. Shipping is one of the biggest polluting industries in the world, but Maersk is looking to change that. The world's second largest shipping firm. Who's the first? Do they say who the first is? Because that's...
I wonder if it's the Evergreen. I know it's not Evergreen, but...
Isn't it Evergreen? Because it was the
That was the ship. I don't think that's the company.
Oh,
name.
really? I thought it's Ever something or other. The name of the ship was may have been Evergreen, but I think it's Ever something or other. Okay.
Apparently, Mediterranean Shipping Company out of Switzerland and Italy is number 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Evergreen is number 6.
Oh, Evergreen. Yeah. That is the name of the shipping company.
You're right.
But the thing that crashed was Ever something then, something else. Like Ever...
I think it was Ever Given or something.
Yeah, Ever given to crashing into the banks of a river. The world's second largest...
Given.
Yeah, it was given to crashing. The world's second largest shipping firm presented the first container ship powered with green methanol, an alternative fuel that allows these ships to emit less CO2 compared to traditional vessels. So the ship does, but what about the processing of methanol? That's like a distillation product. So something has to make that happen. I'll have to look into this. What exactly is meant by green methanol? Because I haven't done too much looking into this, but anyway, Vincent Clark, CEO of Maersk, said the ship was ordered only in 2021 and she was really the first of its kind. So within 2 years, they got that ship operational. Pretty amazing. Today, just a couple of years later, we have 125 ships that have been ordered by different companies to actually work on the same technology and the same energy transition, he said. Pretty amazing. There's more to this, but until I pull back the layers of the onion, I think that there's only so much that we can really go into depth-wise. But I liked this, even at the hint of greening the shipping industry, which has been notorious for basically a giant contaminating process. Because everywhere they go, there's something trailing behind them out in the ocean and in the skies as all of their exhaust is pumped out. And it's largely seemingly unregulated, but maybe there's stuff there that us on the outside just don't know. But I am determined. I will look into it and then report back the next time this pops up. Let's keep going. Unless you want to say something about this.
No, I don't have anything else to add. I think this is a great news story, and hopefully we'll see more of that.
Sounds good. This next article is over in Late Night Geeks. California governor vetoes bill to ban driverless AV trucks. So, I think this is really funny because these autonomous vehicles, that's what they're talking about with AV, not audio video. They're not talking about driverless ads. They're talking about driverless automated vehicles. So what's really interesting about this is just the other day, a whole bunch of cruise vehicles, I think it was in San Francisco, basically were in a giant jam up, caused all kinds of traffic problems. And then Governor Newsom in California vetoed a bill Friday that would have required a human safety operator to be present at all time in a self-driving truck operated on public roads in the state. I think that it should still be present until automated vehicles are ready for prime time, where they don't do jam ups, they don't accidentally crash into people. Because then who is at fault? You know what I'm saying? There's no accountability other than a financial accountability. When someone does something stupid in their car, ultimately they're held directly accountable for whatever damage they cause. But now it's nothing more than an exercise in actuarial tables and amortization and an MBA's deployment of cost, risk, benefit. The win for the autonomous trucking industry comes after the California Senate had passed the bill in mid-September. According to this, the bill would have effectively banned driverless autonomous heavy-duty trucks from operating in the way they were designed. But
I can't decide which way I think about that, because we have a lot of problems with safety of human-driven trucks because, right, they're overtired or whatever it is.
Agreed.
I still think that's safer at this point than driverless.
I agree. And ultimately, I think in crowded areas, it will always be better for a human driver, at least for the next decade, maybe two. But cross-country driving, I don't think that it's a problem, because they're getting on the road and they're just hauling ass down the road. There isn't anything that they're going to encounter typically that would require dramatic creative thinking. But the only avenue for an automated vehicle to avoid an accident is to slam on the brakes. And that's easily done. Fine, that's great. Automated vehicle, slam on the brakes. The only vehicle that could ever be safe is the non-moving vehicle.
Exactly.
Right.
And only if all other vehicles are non-moving around it.
Right. That's why I always chuckle that there's like a report that says that 65% of all accidents are caused by excessive speed. No. 100% of all accidents are caused by excessive speed because some dumbass crashed into another dumbass. That's how it works, right? Not necessarily both being dumbasses. But anyway, my point is, automated vehicles our autonomous vehicles are going to be just driving from point A to point B, but it's at those 2 points where the last mile should be a human that can be more constructive, creative, critical, and not just mechanical. The DMV has been considering lifting its current ban on testing autonomous vehicles that weigh over 10,000 pounds, 10,001 pounds, by the way, in the state. The agency held a public workshop earlier this year on the matter, which prompted California lawmakers to come out with a bill, AB 316. The bill would have limited the DMV's future authority to regulate AVs, power the agency has held since 2012. I find this really interesting. There's things like this, right? The reason why it's 10,001 pound is because somebody slid in at 10,000 or something, or 10,000.5, whatever it might be. We always have these regulations because somebody pushes right up to the edge of the regulation. Anyway, Newsom basically says there's already law and regulation in place that will adequately address this issue. But I certainly don't think that business will take care of itself. I think that oversight is required.
I also think there's unique issues from autonomous vehicles that may not be captured in existing laws.
Interesting. We just don't know enough, essentially. And again, my problem really is about accountability. If an autonomous vehicle runs somebody over, the only recourse is here's some money. And I think that it removes humanity from the situation. And
and some accidents can be criminal, but how is that going to work with no driver?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to sit there and go, well, we audited the software and there were a plurality of people. There were 1,000 people that worked on the software. So which one goes to jail for their incompetence? The one that managed to push the code into the Git and somebody else's code may have influenced that little code snippet. It's an untenable position for accountability. So you lean back onto the financial aspect only. That's the only thing that you can do. Oh, I'm really sorry that I, killed everybody in your family. Here's $2 million. I know that it sounds dark, but when somebody comes to you and says, sorry, everybody in your family is gone, are you really going to be the one that goes, well, yeah, I heard about this on ohmTown Daily, and when I thought about it, I said, well, it's rare if it ever happens, so it's not that big of a deal. And so even now, I lost my family, so I'll just move on. No, you're going to lose your freaking mind and rail against everything that represents. And so if you're willing to just discount it, you might want to talk to somebody because you might be a sociopath. Just saying.
I was going to say you might want to mention it to your family.
Yeah, really. I just want you to know that if an automated vehicle, an autonomous vehicle runs you over, I'm cool with it because they have to learn how to drive. Robots have to learn how to drive. That's how it works.
So how much have we seen in the news about automated vehicles going haywire? And these are not heavy-duty trucks. So
right.
What about that makes us think we're ready for heavy-duty automated trucks?
Yeah, and we don't hear. And again, if it wasn't for the fact, like humans, there's a lot of humans that are driving, right? So when they do something, when they cause an accident, when they get in an accident, there is direct accountability, but not automated vehicles. It's a corporate expenditure and risk management and PR. So we hear about the really big ones from time to time, but we don't hear about all of the little ones. because they just don't rise to the level where people report them. So there is a website out there that reports on autonomous vehicles, though. So maybe I'll grab that and start looking at it as a resource as well. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the continuity report because it has to do with movies, TV, entertainment in general. Man, I really want to do that show. It's only once a week. Need to set up a schedule and just do it. That's why we moved ohmTown Daily to 8 so that we can start prepping for a show afterward. It really depends on if I can keep this show into the 1 hour time frame. Not doing so good.
I'd say our record says otherwise.
Right now we're on track, but if there's an article in here where I'm going to start soapboxing, I can feel it in my bones. Anyway, Cat in the Hat, The Grinch, Sam I Am, and more iconic Dr. Seuss characters to star in brand new graphic novels. When I hear graphic novels, the idea is comic book-esque, right? But when you're a kid, they're comic books. When you're an adult, it's graphic novels.
That's right. But I don't think Dr. Seuss when I think of graphic novels.
It's not a phase, Mom. So a slew of new graphic novels will bring Dr. Seuss's iconic characters to readers of all ages. The Grinch, the Cat in the Hat, and others have made their way into a variety of mediums and projects, from animated series to full-length animated and live-action films, as well as theme parks. Now they'll venture into comics with the help from an Eisner Award-winning team. By the way, I am still working on my Dr. Seuss inspired fiction line, and I hope that people, you know what, maybe I'll just have to start publishing it here. I could do a reading here because they're short stories, so very, very short stories. Y'all might enjoy it, or you'll hate it, and I don't know what to say. Anyway, here we go. Samantha King over at Screen Rant put this article together. The deck statement says Dr. Seuss's iconic characters will soon be making their comic debut thanks to a collaboration between Dr. Seuss Enterprises and Random House. It's not so random. Dr. Seuss's iconic characters are making their way into graphic novels, vibrant adaptations for all ages. New York Comic Con panel will shed more light on the project, discussing how the graphic novels were adapted while preserving the author's legacy. The team's experience in comics, families can look forward to a series of graphic novels that capture the magic of Dr. Seuss's beloved stories and characters, expanding his bibliography in this new medium. It's interesting. These are all unique and new and original characters, but there is a company that's starting to tremble a little bit. It's an old company. It has characters that have been around and the foundation of the company, and they're going into public domain, like Steamboat Willie from Disney, and several others are entering public domain. So I wonder when Dr. Seuss's enters public domain.
I thought those were still being written pretty recently, but maybe not.
But the early can still, right? The early works. If you're still publishing, that doesn't renew a copyright?
Apparently 2061 is when there's a variation, like 2053 for Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Some other things.
So we got some time. So Dr. Seuss comes to comics for the first time. With the award-winning team behind it, the first foray into Dr. Seuss characters into comics will be worth keeping an eye out. Rumchata has published several comic works, including Monkey vs. Robot, Sponge Funnies in SpongeBob SquarePants from Bongo, the Johnny Boo series, and American Elf. Baltazar is known for his work in Tiny Titans, Itty Bitty Hellboy, and Gilbert. I'm surprised. Well, I guess this isn't a Disney thing. Oh, well, they do actually mention Disney. He also wrote Gorilla Gorilla, comic featured in the Comic Zone of issues of Disney Adventures. This is like a juggernaut, collaboration for these comics. This is going to be pretty amazing. There's the thing that I really wonder about is collectible wise, because these are not, I don't think that these will be limited run. They're made for mass market, so they're not going to have the collectability, because original Dr. Seuss books back in the day, right? Those are now collectible because they weren't seen as potentially collectible. But now these are seen as, because they are seen as collectible, people are going to be scooping these up. And when a whole lot of them are saved, they're not as collectible anymore. So the price is suppressed because everybody can pop one of these things out. But I just know that there are going to be people out there, little cretins, that are going to be buying these up en masse and doling them out on eBay to keep the price high. Because this is why we can't have nice things and fun. It's going to be the equivalent of COVID-19 people buying pallets worth of paper products and storing them in their garage.
Oh, not again.
Yeah. It's because Dr. Seuss is famously famous. I mean, it's just wild. They are very, very popular, Dr. Seuss stuff nowadays. I mean, everything that was written for Dr. Seuss, right, was written in the past. There hasn't been any original works because it's built off of Dr. Seuss's writing, or the Dr. Seuss writing, those novels, those whatever. I mean, the books. God, I'm just dumb today. Anyway, what do you think? You have any idea on this? Any position?
I think the world seems to love Dr. Seuss, so I think maybe this is bringing it to more modern audiences or new generations. So I think that could be cool.
Yeah, I guess we'll be reading some new Dr. Seuss takes, because it's not going to be old works. It can't be, not if it's new writing. So it'll be interesting to see the art change. Let's keep going. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. That's this show, but it's also a channel over on ohmTown.com. How 350,000 carpets are made each year by India's largest producer. Now, the title for this segment, we're halfway through the show. How are we purchasing 350,000 carpets a year? I left off the fact that this is one producer in India.
Right. So if there are others, which presumably there are, where are all these going?
Yeah. Daniel Gesner, Corey Isbell, Sarah Kahn put this article together. There isn't an article, it's a video. And so I don't normally play the actual videos for this. I encourage you to go on over there and check them out. So I'm going to throw the link into the chat and you can go on over there and have a good time watching this video. But we'll play the video without any audio. And if you've never done this particular video is actually, it looks like they are just cleaning carpet. And if you've never watched this on YouTube, it's amazing. It's kind of like a power wash simulator. And have you ever seen that device? So they're doing all kinds of stuff in this video. So they're scrubbing down these produced rugs. And did you see the weaving gun?
Yes.
So there's this device that they basically throw thread in and then they run it around Like, what is that called? What is that little thing where it has the grid of backing? Hold on, I'm gonna pause it. So there's the backing, and then they
Like
just sit there.
embroidery or something?
It's an embroidery gun, and they do the outline, and it actually embroiders it into the fabric. I think it's amazing. And so I don't know what the result of this is, because the very next step that they show, and they don't show I don't think they show the steps, but they basically are sitting there with a little grooming machine, shaving off the hair of the carpet, vacuuming it up, and then it's rolled up and thrown into a van. What is happening here? It's amazing. And then they show hand weaving stuff, which this takes forever if you're going to do anything of volume. I guarantee you these people aren't making the money they deserve. I just know it.
No, I was thinking about that. Like, they're probably making it at a ridiculously low cost.
Look at that. And these are the kind of rugs that last forever. You know, they're not just mass machine produced. These are produced by hand. All of the material is like thick, and you could live inside a rolled up carpet, for crying out loud.
We wouldn't recommend that, though.
I would not recommend it. Yeah, it's a little stifling. So, and those rugs made in the old ways last forever. But they're wildly expensive. But how much are these people making, you know? Squat, I guarantee it. I would love to be able to set up an operation where it zeroes the friction between that facility and straight to market. But what ends up happening is people that facilitate that take out a huge chunk of money. Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty neat. Go over and watch the video. I've seen videos like this over the years, and I find it really amazing how much effort, the complexity of the designs. It's all done by hand with, you know, interstitial steps of technology, but mostly human powered. So let's
but
keep on.
We still don't know where all the carpets are going.
Yeah, that's a question for the ages, I suppose. I mean, how many... Okay, let's say everybody buys 2. I mean, how many rugs are you actually purchasing at a time?
Probably most people one at a time, I would imagine.
Right? Under their table. So 350,000 people a year are purchasing from this company. Right? Because why would they make another 350,000 if they don't sell out the previous 350,000? Otherwise, they have to. They discount the lower selling items. They stop making the lower selling items. But either way, they're making 350,000 carpets a year. Not everybody on the planet is buying a carpet every year. And again, it's one producer. Maybe they've got a lock on the market and everybody is buying from them. Like wholesalers are buying from these producers. By the way, this has nothing to do with it, but the thought invaded my head just now. Went through fast food today. $30 for one Happy Meal. Or for one combo meal. Sorry, not Happy Meal. One combo meal. A side. And another combo meal. So $30. I could have sat down at a restaurant across the street.
Prices are going up.
Yeah.
I know. For probably less.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep on going. So I chose this because it was submitted. I didn't see a picture or anything. I haven't even clicked the link to the source, so I have no idea what this is. But anything that says hundreds of mysterious fairy circles seen from space for first time kind of demands some attention. Fairy circles have puzzled scientists for decades, but new research hopes to reveal insights into their mysterious origin. We know what fairy circles are. Okay, let's just click this link. Pandora Dewan is the author. It's over at newsweek.com. They say
So
that
that
it's...
video's actually on topic.
Yeah, so I'm going to hit play. It's muted, so I'm not sure what all is going to happen. But basically, for you who are listening to this via the podcast, we're watching something from orbit, and it's zooming slowly down, and they're showing where these fairy circles are. And then it zoomed right back out. So I guess we're going to go back to other areas that have it.
So far it featured Namibia
Yeah.
in Africa.
Yeah. It'll also mention Australia, apparently. The Sahara. So these fairy circles are basically rings on the ground. But not all fairy circles are the same. I have a feeling that this is going to end up... They might be conflating a bunch of stuff. In Africa, it might all be the same, but in different places, it's something else. But I guess we'll see. In Kazakhstan. And it keeps zooming out and rolling around the world and showing places where these fairy circles are being seen. Oh, wow. All over Australia. Wow. Well, on the west side of Australia, primarily. So let's see. Yeah, they stop right here. So I'm really curious what these are, and I want to find one where they show it and it's really obvious what they look like. So what they look like are dark rings with a clear or a brighter, lighter inside area. And I've heard that, at least in this region, I'm going to predict that they are termite mounds. Not mounds, but they're termite nests.
That you can see from space?
Yeah. But in different areas, fairy circles are mushroom rings. It's the outer perimeter of where the fruiting body of the fungi sprout. If I recall correctly. These so-called fairy circles have puzzled scientists for decades. Now, new research shedding light on the global distribution hopes to provide new insights into the formation and location of these puzzling patterns. There are many hypotheses regarding the formation of fairy circles. For example, they are described as a consequence of the self-organization of vegetation, which I really doubt. Social insects such as termites, which build their nests at certain distances from each other, are also hypothesized to form fairy circles. Another hypothesis is toxic latex from Euphorbia, a genus of succulent plants. That's a new one to me. But the self-organization of vegetation, that is fairy circles from fungus. And this is the one that I was describing you. So it says, until recently, fairy circles had only been identified in Namibia and Australia. No, I've heard of them in other places. We wondered if fairy circles would exist in more places than those traditionally observed in Namibia and Australia. We set up a model based on artificial intelligence to look for hundreds of thousands of hectares from space, and they found them. See that? That right there is a fairy circle.
Wow, that's a very defined. I had a hard time seeing it in the video, but
Gotcha.
That's much clearer.
Yeah, and they're bigger than you think, and smaller. I mean, they're of various sizes. So it took a month before the model produced its first results, but Guerrado said it was well worth the wait. We saw that there were hundreds of undescribed sites in areas never studied before. We were very happy and excited. I have a feeling that they're going to say at the end of this that it's termites. Because if you look at these particular fairy rings, they're all in desert areas. So They say more research needs to be done to confirm these theories, but Guerrero hopes that his new global atlas of fairy circles will enable these more localized analyses in the future. I'm going to predict that they're going to end up being termite circles. They basically show the territory of the termite, that particular nest. And then they break out if they need to. Queen goes somewhere else, they make another ring. It says here that they would like to emphasize that their study provides new sites with the existence of patterns similar to fairy circles, calculates the importance of multiple variables to explain their global distribution, and analyzes their stability. But undoubtedly more work, specialized field work. They don't go into any other detail about this. So we'll see. We'll report. We'll report on what people report about this particular topic, because
and we maybe even report on what we're reporting on.
We'll report on the reporting of the reporting. Pretty neat though, huh? These little...
Oh, absolutely. And this is the first study I've seen of this. Maybe there are more localized ones, but
there are, because I've seen them. And there's actually, what's really neat is you would think that like biological functions creating circles in nature, you're kind of stymied by this. Like, is this a natural process? Like, does this actually happen regularly? Yeah, this is a natural thing. But now here's a kicker. There's a fish in the ocean that digs a circle like this, pulls out all of the debris and builds a ring in the water, and then sits in the center of it to basically be, hey, look, I'm a badass. I made this circle.
I mean, that is really weird.
And it has a pattern to it and everything. Yeah. And it's like violent when some other fish comes into its area. It's like, yo, you kick sand in my face.
My territory.
You can come at me, bro. Yeah. It's pretty funny. We'll have to, I'll connect you to a video for that fish. Watch. Somewhere in the next couple of days, we're going to find that news article being submitted. But that's fine. That's awesome. Okay, let's keep going. This next article, I need to, what was that one? Yeah, I need to throw that into I totally messed up. I was on the ball with this and I got distracted by not doing it and messed it up. Okay, so now they're all submitted to the chat. Okay, so the next article is over in ohmTown Daily as well. The SEC charged a podcast host for running an $11 million Ponzi scheme that it says helped fund a lakeside mansion and courtside NBA seats. I feel like we've had this before. Didn't we read about and report about a person that got arrested by the SEC? But I thought
it was a different scheme.
Yeah, it wasn't this dude. Oh no, that's Charles Ponzi. So this might be the actual same person, Matthew Motil, the host of the podcast The Cash Flow King, for running a real estate Ponzi scheme that raised roughly $11 million. Come on, it's in the name. So the Security and Exchange Commission went after Phil Rosen over at Markets Insider, which is a segment of BusinessInsider.com, put the article together. The SEC charged Matthew Motil for fraudulently raising $11 million in a Ponzi scheme. Motil, the host of the Cash Flow King podcast, roped in more than 50 investors. The complaint said Motil invited potential investors to, quote, be a real estate investing badass. Wow.
How about a criminal?
Yeah. Oh, what's going on with this article? Anyway, the complaint seeks injunctive relief, disgorgement, which is basically coughing up all of the money, and prejudgment interest. civil money penalties, and an officer and director bar. So what all of that means is injunctive relief is they want to stop him from continuing. They want him to cough up all of his profits and interest off of it, and all of the stuff that he purchased being converted into cash so that everybody can get their money back. Civil money penalties from the state or federal government more than likely, to punish, and then finally barring them from being an officer or a director of a company, mainly because of this level of abuse. It tends to, well, because the world is big, somebody on the West Coast may not have heard of this person if they've committed their crime on the East Coast. And when somebody spins up a company, they could become an officer or a director in the C-suite of the company. But if they have a federal note that says they are barred from taking office, when somebody files their paperwork for a corporation, it's reviewed by the government, and thus, if look, the person actually started up a podcast called The Cash Flow King. I wouldn't be surprised if he uses a fake name to become an executive in a company somewhere else, using the very charges railed against him to show how much of a badass he is. You know, if people put that much effort into doing it right, not criminal. I have compassion for people who stumble and bumble fart their way into making mistakes in their business. I've got no problem with that. But when they know how to do it and do it so well that they can manipulate people into feeding their greed frenzy, that's when I lose my compassion, because they're cognizant of what they're doing. But maybe they're not. There's some talk right now about that politician Menendez, right? That's who it is. The one that supposedly had
that had items in his house and everything.
Yeah. Who basically is trying to equivocate out. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. He was speaking today right before the show started. I was listening to what he was saying, and I had to stop because of the show. But anyway, so we'll see what happens to this dude. Not this dude, because this is Charles Ponzi, the Italian con artist that popularized the Ponzi scheme name. Hey, live forever.
I'm not sure that's a good claim to fame.
Everyone will always know who Ponzi is. If you're going to leave a legacy, I suppose infamy is the legacy you want to be in. Please know. Let's go on to the next article. It's over in the Marble channel. Turning up gravity for space fungi study. So now we're talking about fungi again. Fungi in space have been a plot point in Star Trek Discovery, but are also a very real problem for astronauts and space stations. Didn't know that. United Nations co-sponsored testing by a team from Macau in China, right? That's interesting. From Macau in China. Subjected fungi to hypergravity with ESA's fast spinning centrifuge. Let's go over to the source. European Space Agency put this article together. It's posted at phys.org. Turning up gravity for space fungi. I guess they had some fungi in space. They bring it down and spin it in a centrifuge to see what happens to it. Interesting. A team from the astrobiology group of the State Key Laboratory of Lunar and Planetary Sciences it is Macau University, right? Of Science and Technology of Macau. Does this
As
really have
opposed to the Macau University of Science and Technology of, say, Australia?
They actually bookended their own name with Macau. Okay. So it's group of the State Key Laboratory of Lunar and Planetary Sciences at the Macau University of Science and Technology of Macau. All right. A special administrative region of China. They had to throw that in. Otherwise, they would get frowns. From ESA's large diameter centrifuge at the ESTEC Technical Center in the Netherlands to test the growth of fungal colonies under double normal Earth's gravity. Up until now, the Macau team had been making use of 3D clinostats, otherwise known as random positioning machines, which continuously shift their orientation of the gravity vector to simulate microgravity conditions to test how fungi respond to weightlessness. That's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna mute this and I'm gonna hit play because I want to see what this thing does. Oh, that's just whatchamacallit, an accelerator. All it's doing is spinning around.
Isn't it just a large-scale centrifuge?
Yeah. Well, large diameter centrifuge in an 8-meter diameter 4-arm centrifuge that gives researchers access to a large hypergravity of up to 20 times Earth gravity for weeks or months at a time. Oof. That's what happens when I eat too much. Fungal species were grown until full mature grown was achieved. All right. And then examined to check for genetic or phenotypic stress reactions. I feel like this article was written by ChatGPT.
It may have been.
The study of fungi in space is called astromycology, a subset of astrobiology, explains Marta Philippa Simoes, leader of this project from Macau University of Science and Technology. The ship's engineer in Macau, right? What did I say?
I said of Macau.
Oh, of Macau. Oh, yeah.
I was just adding it at the end.
Thanks for correcting me. It's not written there, but I know in spirit it's there. It's the Macau University of Macau in Macau. The ship's killing me. The ship's engineer in Star Trek Discovery is an astromycologist, but this is indeed a real field of study and an increasingly important one. Fungi have a long history of making it into space and can have serious impacts once they are there. How? How is there enough moisture and darkness and nutrient floating around in the tin cup that should be the space station, and everything else should be sterile?
Sense. And that is where I've heard of that term, is from Star Trek Discovery, the astromycologist.
Yeah. Yep. That's how they were able to fold space. The mycelial network. Similar to a warp drive apparently, but fungi. And does that make that person a fun guy? Anyway, some fungi are always going to make it into space with hardy fungal spores able to adhere to all sorts of surfaces and tissues, such as the human body. Ew. Spacecraft clean rooms are never pristine in practice. Biological surveys show that they are home to fungi and other microorganisms. Spacecraft clean rooms. Okay, spacecraft clean rooms. I get it. Maybe it's like a level 1 clean room, right? Which is basically the front entrance of a McDonald's.
So not very clean.
Anyway, pretty fascinating that fungus is making it up to... See, this here, look, check that out. It says fungi observed on the ISS growing on a panel of the Russian Zarya module. Is it that? Or, it's that. Oh my God, I clicked the picture and I wish I didn't. Dear God, no.
That's really astonishing. I wouldn't think fungus could grow in space.
They're supposed to decommission the ISS and let it crash back into Earth. I don't want that space fungi coming back to Earth.
Can they decontaminate it first?
Yeah, they should fling it into the sun. I'm cool with that. Oh, no way. All right. Well, you can't romanticize space travel when That is what's showing up. Why does this
We
look like
never
a...
hear about that when people are talking about astronauts or whatever.
Yeah. No wonder they're in their spacesuits all the time, because they got fungus on the damn walls. Oh my god. All right. Well, there you go, folks. You heard it first. Space fungus on the ISS. Let's keep going. This next article is, the segment is titled, "You Wouldn't Download a Streaming Service, Would You?" Well, apparently people are. This one's in Smack Talk. Streaming video piracy on the rise as subscription costs increase. This is the thing that I keep telling people about. The reason why people commit crimes is because the extraordinary cost of things prices them out, and they either want it and have poor coping skills, or they have no problem with the ethical dilemma of, well, they're billionaires, so it's not a big deal for me to steal music, books, whatever. So this article is over at 9 to 5 Mac. Ben Lovejoy is the author. I've already thrown it into the chat so that you can follow the link through ohmTown over to it. And in December of last year, Disney increased the price of the standard Disney Plus tier from $7.99 to $11.99, along with everything else that has been increasing. It's pretty amazing. People are now rotating around what they subscribe to just to get
I see. So, like, watch a show, end your subscription, move to something else.
Yep. It's the subscription crop rotation. In June, Netflix started quietly killing its basic plan without ads after earlier hiding it from new subscribers. Twitch just upgraded raised the price of Turbo. So if you want to be ad free across the board, you have to pay. It went up 50%. I think it went up from $8 to $12. I'd have to. I don't remember actually now. I think that's it. Amazon Prime Video is the latest company to join, offering subscribers a choice of ads or paying an extra $3 a month. I'm telling you, the reason why everybody is raising their prices isn't because of demand. Give me a break. This is okay. If it was demand, and the demand was causing wear and tear on the service, and they had to expand operations and whatnot, guess what would be in line? Want to take a stab at it? If costs are going up for operation, profits have to stay the same if they're raising the price, because raising the price would be compensating for the increased cost of operations.
Right,
but that's
so they're not
losing
losing money, essentially. Yeah,
exactly.
But they're actually making more money.
They're making more money, hand over fist. Corporation after corporation after corporation is hand over fist making money, but not mom and pop shops, because they can't afford it, because they're not part of the consolidation of power and influence and capability. Right? So mom and pop shop could compete with Walmart if it wasn't for the fact that Walmart can price out everybody else because of the way that they construct their contracts. You're not allowed to pay any or provide your product
less, right?
Right. Or it's just written in such a way that it would be prohibitive to send anything to anybody else but them. And this just expands out to the raw material producers raising their costs or raising their price. Why? Because there's a lot of money in the system, and you can't just let people have money in their bank accounts. You have to start nickel and diming them to death until the account is sucked dry.
I don't think that's one of the rules.
That's exactly what it is. Come on. That's what makes us billionaires, right? It's totally,
I don't know. We're not billionaires.
It's totally ethical and morally righteous, right? I mean, it's darn near written in religious texts, isn't it? That you're supposed to step on people's necks and take their money for a chicken sandwich. No?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, I might have my wires crossed. So Streaming video piracy is on the rise as subscription costs increase. And again, it's over at 9 to 5 Mac, and Ben Lovejoy put the article together. I find it fascinating that somebody can pirate video from a streaming service, because it's not like it's at peak quality.
Exactly. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's compression after compression, by the way, and whatever else is going on with it. The quality of the video is probably sucky. But the article talks about it in greater detail. Streaming video piracy increasing in response due to the costs, primarily. Honestly, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that, I'll leave it alone. Let's just move on. I don't want a soapbox. And the final article for today is, to me, kind of the saddest article that we've had. Mainly because I came to the realization, I'm gonna throw some water on everybody's fire about Lego. It's plastic. So it's complicit with microplastic exposure.
Yeah, it is.
And they've been trying to recycle plastic bottles. The article's title, it's over in the Hatch Ideas channel, because the Hatch Ideas channel is about business transformation, pivoting, startup community, IP generation, etc. Hopefully one of the
Now,
shows.
the one thing in Lego's favor, though, is that Lego pieces are typically saved and reused, and which doesn't eliminate microplastic problems, but at least it's not like single use.
Yeah, plastic waste.
Plastic.
Right. Yep, I agree. The title of this is Lego Abandons Effort to Make Bricks from Recycled Plastic Bottles. Danish company says complications with non-oil based materials would have entailed higher total carbon emissions. I feel like that's kind of a cop-out. But anyway, Lego stopped a project to make bricks from recycled drinks bottles, instead of oil-based plastic, saying it would have led to higher carbon emissions over the product's lifetime. The move, first reported by Financial Times, followed efforts by the world's largest toy maker to research more sustainable materials as part of a wave of companies reassessing their contribution to global emissions as the climate crisis hits. And it's hitting hard, folks. Jim Bartholomew, which that is an awesome name, wrote this article for theguardian.com. The deck statement straight up is what I just read. Danish company says complications with non-oil based materials would have entailed higher total carbon emissions. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything in here really that's going to matter, because they're kind of saying exactly what is happening. They're saying that because it'll increase carbon emissions, they're not going to do it. But I think they could offset carbon emissions by processing and capturing the carbon emissions. Now, if they're talking about total emissions based on these recycled products having a life outside of the manufacturing process, kind of like cement releases CO2 over its lifetime, then maybe that's it, but I don't think that's it, right? The Danish company makes billions of Lego pieces a year, and in 2021 began researching a potential transition to recycled polyethylene terephthalate, which is PET, P-E-T, from ABS. By the way, don't ever put any of this in a laser, because when ABS gets lasered, it actually creates acid gas. I can't remember what it's called. Hydrochloric acid.
Chloride, I think.
Yeah, hydrochloric acid is what it creates. Which needs about 2 kilograms of petroleum to make 1 kilogram of plastic. ABS is used in about 80% of the Lego bricks. Blocks is what they say. Quote, It's like trying to make a bike out of wood rather than steel, said Tim Brooks, Lego's head of sustainability, referring to how the non-oil based material was softer and demanded extra ingredients for durability as well as greener or greater energy for processing and drying. But if they did that, so I'm not sure what the materials are, the extra ingredients. They probably wouldn't go into all of that in this article. Yeah, definitely don't. And but all of the energy lean on solar. And as for drying, again, if you're using heaters to cure this plastic over a slower period of time so it doesn't warp or shatter or whatever, I'm not sure how they actually do their final processes. Then lean on geothermal or hydro or whatever it takes. But get away from oil. And unfortunately, for me, I'm kind of loath of plastics. I don't want to add more to the world, but we are, and undoubtedly it's going to remain. But at least with... See, you just can't do it. Like PLA is actually made from corn, but it is soft, and under heat it warps really easy, and it's not necessarily as durable. But in this form, it should be fine. I don't know why they wouldn't do PLA, but anyway. So the company said in 2020,
they have 150 people studying this problem.
It said that it had more than 150 people, working on sustainability. You saw that, right?
Yeah, 151.
That's probably it, yeah. But the Lego chief executive, Niels Christensen, told the Financial Times, the toy maker, quote, tested hundreds and hundreds of materials but could not find a magic material to solve the sustainability issues. So we're going back, we can't kill our business because it is producing something that is ultimately destructive to the environment. You're not going to be able to build your world out of Lego. All right. Well, anyway, sorry to rain on everybody's parade in the last article, but somebody had to talk about it.
I feel like Lego is going to be like one of the before things in the silo.
Oh, that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, in the silo, it's going to be...
Back in the day, people had Lego pieces.
Yeah. What do they refer to it as in
term.
silo? Oh, what is it? Oh my gosh. It's like they refer to it as the before times, but I
don't remember what the items are called.
What are they called? I think it starts with an A.
Pre-apocalypse.
Yeah, that it's something other. What do
Relics.
They call it? Relic. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Relic. It's gonna be like a minifig is a relic, and you're told to go clean the lens because you have one of these, a damn minifig or a wheel. That's awesome.
Or maybe one of those sea creature Lego pieces that washed up when that ship crashed. Remember, yeah. They're still finding them decades later.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. If you've never heard of Silo, it's streaming on Apple Plus, right? Which, by the way, it raised its rates too. So everybody just do what a person in Cyberpunk 2077 did. Just ask your parents for a loan of $100,000 so that you can outfit your pockets for deeper pockets, and it will fill magically, and you'll be able to get all of the Lego bricks you want when the end time, or when the before times becomes a phrase. All right. Well, anyway, that's it for tonight, folks. We always bring you back to the main street and click that logo and it refreshes. Now you can access Apple Music radio shows in the Apple Podcast app with iOS 17. there's been a lot of changes for iOS 17. Quite fascinating for all the home automation stuff as well. It changed the flow of how it all works. Something that I've been sitting here complaining about, which is the playlist in podcasts. Now there's a playlist. But they've removed things.
They must have heard you.
They've removed things from how to add things to the playlist. You used to be able to make it the next thing that plays or at the end of the list. And now it just throws it into the list at the end all the time. Every time it's always at the end. And I'm like, well, no. I want it to be next. So now I haven't tried it yet. If you have to go and edit your queue. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. Anyway, Amazon is going to go over to AI as well. Let's see. Anybody else? You want to challenge your cybersecurity systems with AI controls in your hand? You can do that. I've been telling people that are in the cybersecurity sector, AI is coming for your gerb. People poo-pooed me, and now they're going, oh, Merwatt, you were so right. Good God.
I was trying to motion at you, but...
Why do I not listen to the AI fast enough? The AI's job is to keep me out of trouble, and I completely ignored the error message.
At least 3 motions at you.
Yep, I saw it in the cascade of data, but I don't know. Sorry about that. Ahsoka poster confirms Balin's secret mission. Why does he want to kill the Skywalkers? Is that spoilery?
Sure seems like it.
That damn title just ruined the show. Captain Enoch's name is more important than you realized. If you know what Enoch is in human history, then I explained that to someone. They were like, what's Enoch? Well, I won't go into it. It's kind of spoilery. Let's see what else. I don't know.
Bezos is Blue Origin to replace CEO.
Yeah, it's been kind of falling on its face. At least as far as I understand it. All right, folks, that's it. We will be back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh, no, 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh, man. I don't even know when the show
we
is
need a
on.
time travel button to go backward a few minutes.
Oh, I'll figure it out one of these days. Thanks for coming, hanging out. If you're in chat, thanks. Go over to YouTube and like and subscribe. Follow us there and ring the bell and, I don't know, hang out. And download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review and I'll repeat what you put in there in your review. Whatever it is.
If it's appropriate.
Hell, at this point, even if it isn't appropriate. Okay, that's it, folks. I'm Merwatt. That's ohmTown.com. And up there is the AI that's going to say bye. You can't.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow.
Man. Hey, did you notice that the colors were for Halloween? The background is kind of it's supposed to be a yellow.
I liked the theming. It matched the Rumchata article.
Yeah. And I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. See ya. Bye-bye.